Oof. That's not ready yet. Holy moly. I can't even begin to tell you. We're live now, so everybody be cool. No worries. Here we are. Wow. I literally spilled a cup of water moments before air, so we're back on. We're live. This is me live. Let me double check outputs. I'm way behind. It should already be in the first interview segment. But let me see what we can come up with here. Big show planned. Believe we can still get all the guests in. I think. We're going to see. As a matter of fact, we're just going to race right to it. Oh. Hold on. Let me get this out of the way. And we'll see what happens here. It's kind of a nightmare, I got to be honest. My first guest tonight has been covering college football for Sports Illustrated since 2008. Of course, that means being on the road, and being on the road means, well, eating a lot of places. I found Andy on Twitter a number of years back when he was talking barbecue with Daniel Vaughn, and I've been working to get him here on this show ever since. It finally pans out tonight. Let's head over to the hotline and welcome first-timer to the show, Andy Staples joining me.
Hello?
Andy, how are you, buddy?
I'm good.
Oh, shit. Andy, hold on one second.
What?
Sorry, hold on one second. Oh. Andy?
Yep.
All right, sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out what is the bigger tragedy in sports over the last hour? That dude from Boston ripping his leg off, or me dropping a whole can of water all over my production desk and literally everything going up in flames minutes before I go on air? I'm still debating which is the bigger tragedy here.
Choice B, probably.
Probably. Andy Staples is my guest, senior writer for Sports Illustrated. Andy, since this is a food show first, probably second and third as well, sports sometimes, but rarely. Fun fact, by the way, NFL Hall of Famer, the Manster Randy White, and former Falcons and Bengals great Reggie Kelly have both appeared on this show. However, again, food first. So before we get into the Sports Illustrated stuff and so on, little food background on you. In other words, did you come up in a cooking family, or is food something you kind of got into later in life?
I've always been an eating person. So I was an undersized offensive lineman growing up, so I had to eat a lot, and decided that, if I was going to be so invested in eating, I was going to learn how to cook stuff and try to eat the best stuff I could. And so every time I got on the road, I would try to find the best places, and then when I was at home, I'd try to learn how to cook as much as I could. So I've continued to eat way too much, and I don't work out 6 hours a day anymore, so that's a problem. But it's all right. I've managed to turn it into a professional advantage.
Andy, what does the term pitmaster mean to you, if anything?
Oh, I just think it's somebody who has dedicated themselves to the craft of barbecue and probably put in their 10,000 hours, and they know how to make magic. If they're in Texas, they can make magic with salt and pepper and a brisket. If they're in North Carolina, they can do it with a whole hog. I think they're some of my favorite people.
Kind of dovetailing into that, there are terms which, even from my aspect, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would define as separate. Barbecue and grilling are those terms, by the way. Do you have definitions for those two terms?
Yeah, barbecue is a noun, and it's not a synonym for grill. It is meat, dead animal, cooked over indirect heat. That's it, which takes tri-tip out of the equation, actually, and drives people from California crazy.
Yeah.
That's my definition.
From a live fire cooking aspect, Andy, what were your first introductions to this subculture that I kind of cover in an ESPN Sports Illustrated sense?
So I was born in Columbia, South Carolina, and the first barbecue that I had on a regular basis was a fast food chain called Rush's. And so I grew up thinking that mustard-based barbecue sauce was, quote unquote, the normal barbecue sauce. I didn't realize nobody outside of the middle of the state of South Carolina does that. And it's weird because that's still probably my favorite kind of sauce, even though I'm not a big sauce guy. I mean, the best stuff doesn't need it. But it was that, and then in that part of the country, if you have a gathering, you might just do a pig. They call it a pig picking, which is you smoke a whole hog, and everybody just kind of picks at it as they watch a football game or whatever. So I remember one of the earliest football memories of mine is when South Carolina was really good in 1984. They were undefeated. They went to Navy, and my mom and future stepdad and their friends had a pig picking to watch the game, and Navy crushed South Carolina. But I was full and I was happy.
Andy Staples joining me here on the show, senior writer for Sports Illustrated, at Andy_Staples on the Twitter. From a professional standpoint, Andy, did you always see yourself getting into the high level of journalism and then specifically sports, or were you initially going down a different path and journalism found you?
No, I thought I wanted to be a writer at age 12. My mom was a school librarian, and she would bring books home all the time. And she brought these books home from this guy named Louis Grizzard, and I read one called Shoot Low Boys, They're Riding Shetland Ponies. And it was a collection of his columns from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And he was syndicated all over the Southeast, and he just wrote funny columns. And I read him, and I was like, does he get paid to do this? And my mom goes, yeah, he makes a pretty good living. I said, well, that's what I want to do. So I decided I wanted to be a syndicated humor columnist. Now, there were only like two of those then, Louis Grizzard and Dave Barry, and now there are zero of them. The job had pretty much died by the time I got out of college. But Louis was a sports writer first, so I figured, well, I'll just become a sports writer, and then I'll work my way into that other thing. And the sports writer thing never stopped.
Sports Illustrated has to be still the biggest name for sports journalism today. How do you get on with them initially? Was it just fresh out of college and you get into it, or do you have to work into a Sports Illustrated?
No, I was covering Florida for the Tampa Tribune, University of Florida sports, and somebody at SI liked what I did and gave me a call and said, hey, we might be interested in you for a job. And then that job disappeared. And a few months later, I was covering Tim Tebow winning the Heisman Trophy, and I was up in New York, and I went by the office and introduced myself to everybody, and they said, no, there's probably not going to be a job for another year or so. And then about 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, and they had been getting their football and basketball recruiting coverage from a company called Rise Magazine. Well, ESPN had bought Rise Magazine and sent SI a cease and desist order saying, take all the stuff off your website. So they took the money they were paying Rise and made that my salary and gave me a job. And that was 10 years ago in January.
Probably going to the offices in New York might have helped that cause, a little face-to-face call.
Yeah, they realized I was an actual human being and not just, some robot tapping keys in Florida.
Aside from the college football responsibilities, Andy, is there anything else that you're doing for Sports Illustrated on the side?
I do a little bit of college basketball, but now the secondary job is food. In the last few months, we've created a vertical called SI Eats, and I thought it was important. I mean, the food stuff I do gets some of the biggest response on social media. I've been putting a restaurant review in my Monday column every day or every week for the last 3 years. And I thought, well, why don't we collect all these things and put them in one place and create some city guides to tell people where to eat. And we can then kind of write about the intersection of food and sports, or just write about food, period. And the bosses agreed, and SI Eats was born, and it's gotten a big response. People seem to love it. So look, everybody's got to eat at least 3 times a day. So it makes sense they'd want to read about it.
Covering the sport, as you kind of mentioned, does lend itself to eating. Obviously, you're a foodie at some level, so you're amassing this working knowledge of places to go. As you'd mentioned, you've done the SI Eats thing. Do you have standbys that you hit each and every time you're in a city? Or are you that much of a foodie where, yeah, here are the places that I've been to and I recommend because they're good, but I'm really more looking for the new places that I might be able to recommend as well?
If it's one of my absolute favorites, let's say Archibald's Barbecue in Northport, Alabama, I'm going back and getting ribs there. But usually I want to go find somewhere new. A few years later, I went, yes, it is. That sort of thing. But usually I'm looking for something new.
Barbecue has certainly been popular and known in those meccas from where you're from, obviously Carolinas, you have the Texas, Memphis, Kansas City. But it seems over the past, let's say 5, 6, maybe 7 years, it has really exploded across the map. I don't know from a backyard sense if it's more popular than it has ever been as it is right now. As someone who sees the country from side to side, top to bottom, is that a valid observation? Do you think barbecue is at its height of popularity just in a high-level sense right now?
Yeah, and you see all these, for a while you were seeing these kind of shishi frou-frou barbecue places pop up. I remember I went to some place in New York where they were charging $27 for a brisket plate, and it was like 3 strips of nasty brisket. And it's just like, what is this? But no, you do see it everywhere. I mean, I ate at a place in Santa Cruz, California last week that had a wood pile. I was like, wow, they're doing it right in the Bay Area. What is this world coming to? It's fantastic. I love that people have really embraced it and are trying to make good barbecue, because I've eaten a lot of bad barbecue in my life too. And so I love that there are people who really care. And it's interesting because it's not what it used to be. When I was growing up, it was a lower and middle class cuisine. Now meat's gotten so expensive. Mm-hmm. I think the target audience has kind of been priced out, which really sucks. But you look at prices now, and it's unfortunate, but these guys are not making much money. They're running a pretty thin margin. They just have to charge a lot because the meat's so expensive. So I hope people can still keep figuring out ways. I see a lot of places, newer places, that are becoming more sandwich based because that allows them to make some money and not charge as much. I hope it's still an accessible food, because I don't want it to become a food for the rich. It would not be the same thing.
Andy, I don't know if you're familiar or not, but I spearheaded the hashtag HorseMeat 2017 movement this year. Do you have an argument?
Trying to get it started.
Oh, it started. It's. I would call it at a steamroll pace at this point. Do you have an argument against allowing horses to be brought up in an environment that would be similar to how beef or pork are processed in this country? You against that?
I would have a mental block, even though you could make plenty of rational arguments for it. But I'd still have a mental block.
Because it's on the dog and cat side of the fence when everything else on the farm is free game? Like, that's totally weird.
Because it's that adorable.
Really? You like the eyes that much?
Too.
Yeah. Now, let me say this. As a guy that was kind of born and raised in Saratoga Springs, New York, there are few that love the ponies more than me. But I find it incredibly...
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from, but I would have a complete... It's not a... Like I said, you can explain it to me rationally all you want, but I'll have that mental block.
You're not going to go to Canada or Mexico to try some if you find your way down there on travel?
I don't have to cover much hockey or much soccer, so I don't think I'll have to do that.
Andy, last question, and I appreciate the time this evening. Does Guy Fieri being in the Barbecue Hall of Fame pull at the very fabric and integrity of the Barbecue Hall of Fame?
I did not know he was in the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
Is that not?
I'm not sure
a
I knew
shame?
there was a Barbecue
Hall of Fame. Isn't that the problem?
I don't want to know about a Barbecue Hall of Fame that includes Guy Fieri.
Hey, I think you've answered a lot of questions just in that one sentence.
Did they just rename it Flavor Town, or?
Yeah, it's Triple D Hall of Fame, I think is what they're calling it at this point.
See, I don't get that. I mean, At what point has he ever served barbecue?
Well, if truth be told, Andy, I'm kind of the guy that is finding ways to. If I were to be inducted in my speech, I would give a 2 or 3 minute dissertation on why we would need to get him out immediately. Like that would be my first order of business, so we could restore some type of integrity.
Now, would you frost your tips first?
No frosted tips. No, but I would shave the head super clean. I'm a little, buzzed up right now, but I would go super clean. I think that's a good look. But what kind of
or frost your facial hair tips? That's the other way to play it. But yeah, that is disturbing news. I did not know that, and now I feel dumber for having found out.
Well, I think I apologize, and I also want to make sure that you are well informed so you can go tell the SI faithful what exactly is going on in the live fire cooking industry. We're talking with Andy Staples. You can find him at Andy_Staples on Twitter, and he's obviously writing for Sports Illustrated as well. Andy, really appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You got it. There he is, Andy Staples, ladies and gentlemen. Holy moly.
All guests on the Barbecue Central show appear via the Smithfield hotline. Yummy.
Well, he just proved my point. Am I over-modulated? I'm telling you right now, my wits aren't my own. We are so far off base right now. Folks, grilling season is officially open for business, and the place to head for all your barbecue and grilling needs is Butcher Barbecue. Certainly, we know that Butcher's carries a great selection of barbecue spices, sauces, rubs. Of course, their grilling portfolio continues to expand as well. You've heard me talk about grilling oils for a while now, and I really believe that these products will change the way you cook forever. These items shelf-stable, don't require refrigeration like a lot of other butters do. With grilling oils, all you need to do is leave them out by the stove or take them to the grill as needed. You don't need to worry about them going bad. Need a butter kick? Use butter flavor. Want a chipotle kick or a steakhouse kick? They have those flavors as well. Here's how I use them. Flavors aren't aggressive, right? So you can build layers of flavor as you flip. Then, when I take the steak and burger off, I hit them with the grilling oil, just a thin layer. Let them rest up a little bit. Perfect stuff. And because they're shelf stable, as I had mentioned before, never out of sight, out of mind. That's so frustrating. Never resting on his laurels. Dave, always in the flavor lab, coming up with stuff. Newest item right now, the Grilling Addictions. Here's what I really like about it. It's got the nice salt, little pepper, but some back-end heat now. Watch out. If you ain't ready for it, it'll get you. Not terrible, but enough to notice. Lastly, and I say it each and every week, dealers want it if you currently own barbecue and grilling supplies stores and you don't carry the Butcher lineup. What are you waiting for? Hit them up on butcherbbq.com and request information on how to become a dealer for them today. Not only will Dave thank you, but your customers will reap the rewards by getting these fine products in their hands to try for themselves. These products are extensively tested both in the backyard on the competition trail, so you know they're going to deliver the goods. Head on over to butcherbbq.com and check out all the products. You'll be happy that you did. Again, that's butcherbbq.com. Always trust your butcher. We're back with David Marks from Operation Barbecue Relief. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Ready to get on the air. Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
Hey, the 2017 grant program was a raging success this season. So if you want your event to be considered for 2018, head over to smokingwithsmithfield.com right now and apply for the 2018 grant program. Applications are being taken until October 25th, so don't miss out. That's smokingwithsmithfield.com. Move that over. We're kind of catching up, I think. We'll see here in just a second. Andy Staples just joined me, senior writer covering college football for the last 8-9 years. I think that was pretty cool. All right, my next guest is a competitive pitmaster for Wilbur's Revenge Barbecue Team. He also owns Pitmasters LLC, which is franchisee of Famous Dave's Barbecue, and he is also the CMO and board member for Operation Barbecue Relief. The weather events and natural disasters continue this year in what seems like a one right after the other pace. Back for another update, certainly, is our friend, David Marks.
What's happening, Greg?
And I got to tell you, it's an insane storm of craziness that just happened here moments before we went on the air. I have this glass of water right here, and I don't know what happened, but I nudged it, and woof, all over the place it went, and it could have been much worse, but geez.
Like an EMP over there. Look out.
Oh, my God. So luckily we were able to reboot a little bit. I didn't miss my first interview, which I was very excited about, but what can I tell you? I'm a professional. You got to pull it together. You got to pretend like you're not frazzled, and in your mind, you're sweating and crying all at the same time.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Dave, it was Harvey first, then it was Irma. Now we have fires, and okay. Now David's out of here. Hey, you don't have to leave. Don't be so mean. Right? Maybe the internets are wet, too. It could be. No doubt.
The internet's wet.
The internet is wet. As I was saying, Harvey first, then Irma. Now we have the fires in California. Do you recall a year that has been this rich in weather events and natural disasters since the inception of Operation Barbecue Relief?
Never have I seen anything like this coming out of the Atlantic for sure. I mean, we've had a couple years of some crazy tornadoes, and they're horrific, and you can't plan for them by any means. But I mean, just the whole hurricane season has been just overwhelming, and there's so much emphasis on it. As you can see it build coming across the ocean, and it really weighs on a lot of people. And now that people have seen what can happen, it's been a rough one. It's been a rough season for sure so far.
David, there are now 40-plus fatalities in the California wildfires, acres of scorched earth, homes burned, residents evacuated, displaced. But unlike a weather event, this situation is an active one. Is there a different approach for something like this versus a tornado or a hurricane where you know it's coming, it happens, and then you guys deploy, install, and start feeding?
It is very different. In a hurricane, we know it's coming. We can start moving resources and assets and getting people ready. There's wildfires happened, and they have their staple in nature as well. The wet season they had last year provided a lot of the undergrowth and a lot of the things that really fostered this fire and allowed it to move around so much. Somewhat like a flood, we don't really know where the water is going to go. Same thing with the fires, but so much more difficult. Just the air pollution. We had a lot of people having to wear respirator masks, to take the particulates out. I mean, it's been difficult. Every deployment's difficult, but this has definitely been different. And California is different. We had to move a lot of resources. Never done anything in California, so really we relied a lot on the folks out of the California barbecue circuit, if you will, the California Barbecue Association, a lot of the folks around the wineries, and we've had to do some things differently for sure.
David Marks joining me here on the show. The website, of course, operationbbqrelief.org. If you want to make a donation, if you are moved at this point to do that, we're obviously encouraging that. Financial donations for sure. David, I had mentioned this to Ray Lampe last week, wanted your take on it too. With fires, you're told to evacuate. People leave. They're fires. For whatever reason, hurricanes don't seem to hold the same urgency for some folks. I don't know why. You can see them building for days. You see they're bigger, wider, stronger than the state you're living in, and still people will hunker down and decide that this is something that they're going to ride out or it's really not going to hit them. Not the same mindset with fires. People seem to want to leave for fires.
Yeah, people definitely want to get out of the way of a fire, especially if you're in Florida. It's been so long since they've had a real significant hurricane. And for those folks, they've almost forgotten. My college roommate, lives in the Keys, and he actually stayed and lost his house and the whole deal. I mean,
Oof.
people definitely, I don't want to say forget, but they just think that they're bigger than it. They think they're bigger than it, and it's not going to hit them that way. It's unfortunate, but it is every bit as dangerous. You know, I don't know if I'd want to perish by fire or by water.
Yeah, I would choose neither.
Neither is for me as well. I agree.
Absolutely. Dave, from Harvey to present, do you have a tally of meals served, number of people that have helped cook and serve food?
Sure. I've got some loose numbers from California right now. We're at 51,705 meals, give or take a meal, hot barbecue meal. We did 498,000 between Harvey and Irma. So that puts us right at 550,000 hot barbecue meals served by our incredible barbecue family, really across the country, from East Coast to the West Coast in the last 2 months or so. Really proud of our volunteers and our corporate supporters. 550,000 meals is mind-boggling in 3 separate events.
Is that a record for one season, or however you look at it, maybe from a calendar year or whatever?
Certainly, I don't think when we had Hurricane Matthew and the floods in Baton Rouge last year, I really felt like huge numbers, 500,000 meals. Just shy of 500,000 meals, and this year certainly we're eclipsing that. And I'm just glad that our barbecue community is able to step up and help our great country in desperation, in disaster, and really help support our needs. Our ability to do this, not be governmentally funded, and do this with our amazing barbecue family is just at the core for me. Just makes me proud.
There was some really good pumping me up stories done. CNN, you see Stan Hayes on a lot of really top media outlets at this point, not just your local news stations. And of course, any coverage is good coverage for you guys, just to get the word out and get the name and the brand out there. Have you guys seen a tremendous influx of help, or at least awareness of who you guys are and what you guys and gals do?
The national exposure has been amazing, and not that I'm making any breaking announcement at the moment, but Stan is actually doing a BBC interview tomorrow morning. Wow. So we're going international, if you will. Honestly, it has been a huge help. When you have that kind of national media exposure, it really does make a big difference. And having these bigger disasters is unfortunate, but it brings attention to what we do. So honestly, I mean, I never want to see disasters and destruction and those kind of things. But it does give us the opportunity, once people get out of search and rescue and saving lives, and the immediacy, it does allow us to showcase what we can do and what the barbecue community and our volunteers can do. And I mean, you asked me about how many volunteers we have right now, and the number's a little fluctuating because we have a couple different portals that things come in, but it's about 7,200 registered volunteers at this point. We've probably had, now that we add California into this, about 3,400 volunteers volunteer their time in these disasters. I mean, it's amazing to me. It's just amazing. 5, 6, almost 7 years ago, I mean, we were scraping things together, and I mean, there's a point where we were, wondering, like, how are we going to do this, and can we do this, and can we continue it? And now it's bigger than all of us, for sure.
You have yourself, you have Stan, you have a whole bunch of people that make up that infrastructure of OBR. I know, obviously, you have a real day job, and I'm assuming a lot of the other people do as well. When something like this hits, how are you guys able to pull away from or be allowed to do what you have to do on an OBR sense without it negatively impacting probably where the bread and butter is?
Well, a lot of it honestly comes out of our personal lives, our family lives. It is kind of like working 2 jobs, and it is certainly much bigger than Stan and I. I mean, you've got Will Cleaver, who was one of the co-founders, and he has taken on an expanding role. We've opened up. Dana Reed's in charge of our volunteers. He's our chief volunteer officer. We've continued to expand and add. We've got Paul Peterson, who is our corporate relations and procurement executive. We have Brian Rapolo, who's in charge of disaster operations, and we've been adding infrastructure underneath. So, we couldn't do this without the likes of what the Memphis barbecue mafia. Scott Guy, John Wheeler, Mark Lambert, Alan Smith, and that whole Memphis in May crew. You couldn't do it without so many of those teams. You got teams up in the Northeast. We got state leads in like 38 states, I think, right now that literally are out there breaking ground for us within the different governmental organizations, the VOADs, volunteer organizations at disasters, and that's how we work through them to get through FEMA, and they have made this happen, and these 7,200 volunteers are really what has made it happen, and we have a whole bunch. I mean, Meg Ferguson from Delaware Finn's Finest helps me with so much with social media. We've got the Bradens out of West Virginia helping. I mean, in these disasters, you can't even imagine the volume of just responding to people's private messages. Just responding to the sheer amount of Facebook and tweets, and it's overwhelming, let alone the emails. So, I mean, it really has, at this point, it takes an army of people to make this all happen.
Let's do it again this time around since we did last time around. Things that Operation Barbecue Relief needs the most is cash. We want cash. We get that you want to donate food or a cooker or whatever, but cash is king. Cash helps now. Cash is effective.
And don't forget, Greg, your time. If you can afford time, we need time in disasters, and we need time outside of disasters. Money and time are the two biggest things. We can, if we can get some time, we have money, we can accomplish just amazing things.
OperationBBQRelief.org is the website. If you are moved to donate, of course, I would certainly appreciate it. I know Dave would and everybody at OBR. If you're looking for a good cause to get behind and support on a recurring basis, certainly one we would encourage you to do as well. Dave, from a competition side of things, I know last time we talked, you were a little disdained over your American Royal setting there, but what are you looking at for the rest of the season? You done, or are you still gearing up yet?
I actually had to I pulled out of 3 contests because our season was so busy. So you ask where it comes from. I actually had to give up the rest of my barbecue season to do this. I just did not have the time to honestly keep up and put that effort into the comp season. I did cancel 3 contests, and it's weird when my East Coast barbecue buddies start calling me and texting me, go, "What is going on? Are you okay? Where you at?" And I just can't do it right now. My higher calling. I haven't been a perfect person, but this is my entry to heaven. Barbecue's going to make it fun on the way, but this stuff is more important.
David Marks is Operation Barbecue Relief's chief media officer?
Marketing officer.
Marketing. Same thing, marketing,
dishwasher,
media, you name it.
It's
he's everything. He's one of many that do pretty much everything out there. Wilbur's Revenge Pitmaster, obviously owning some franchise of Famous Dave's Barbecue as well. Where are those at, by the way?
Well, I have 6 Famous Dave's, 3 in the Philadelphia area, 1 in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and 2 in Delaware. And I'll tell you, if you want something fun, go out to Famous Dave's. We have a new menu item out there. I'm doing a selfless, shameless plug right now, but we have some new menu items out there called Devil's Cut. And honestly, with my barbecue mentors urging and pushing, I created a new barbecue sauce, a new glaze that I actually, it's a derivative of the barbecue sauce that I put on my Tyson's Best Wings on the Planet award-winning wings from the Sam's Club finals as well as the World Food Championships. And it is available at Famous Dave's right now. You can get it on ribs, you can get it on salmon, you can get it on smoked chicken. It's awesome.
All right. Well, if you're going to be out there, hit it up. And Devil's Cut is the name, right?
There you go. Devil's Cut.
Like it. Dave, always appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you.
You got it. There he is. David Marks from Operation Barbecue
All guests
Relief.
of the Barbecue Central
That's
show
right.
appear via the Smithfield Hotline.
All right, we're settling
Yeah,
back
man.
into a little bit of a nice roll here. Let me get the rest of these people that I'm supposed to be calling this evening into the tally. We'd love your feedback on Andy Staples. It was kind of disjointed as we just ran right into it. No lead in, no setup, no nothing. But I didn't want to miss any more time than I was going to. Pretty much got a full interview in with Andy, so appreciate that. First timer to the show. I'm not sure if he's ever heard the show before, or if he thought it was just going to be some stupid podcast that sounds like we're just talking and it's really uncomfortable to have anything to say, but I had a lot of things that I wanted to get to. I couldn't get any football questions. I mean, you know me. I wanted to ask him, is Ohio State consistently overrated or consistently underachieving? By the way, I'm not a big college football fan, so I could care less on either. And then B, from a professional football standpoint, NFL, is there a more disturbing professional football franchise since 1999 than the Cleveland Browns? Dude, what a joke. The answer, by the way, is no. There is no other more disturbing, disappointing, soul-shattering franchise period, not just football, but sports franchise. How do you have two of the best-run sports franchises in the city? Also, you have the worst sports franchise in sports, that being the Cleveland Browns. So that's what I wanted to get after. But if we did it right, I will have enticed him to come back for another segment down the road. I want to know where the best food is in the college towns. I mean, he knows. I want to talk about poutine, have him weigh in on the burn ends. He was a little disenchanted with the horse meat talk, but that's all right. You got to bring him around. Nobody's in on it the first time, right? Hey, folks, the 2015, 16, and 17 barbecue tool of the year is the Chaps Power Injector System. The number one bestseller is the half-gallon Chaps Power Injector System. Designed for the competition cook or to pump up the backyard warrior. So easy to use, right? Clean it, fill it, pump it, and away you go. If you have just one brisket or pork shoulder to do, you don't need to fill it all the way up. Just put in what you need. It'll use it all. Comes with 14-gauge needles, 2 replacement plastic needle adapters, 3 plug screws, and a needle protector. It's $100 plus shipping anywhere. The 1-gallon Chaps Power Injector System is up next, designed for catering and bigger jobs. It holds double the amount of the half-gallon system. Some use it in competitions, like when you cook the MBN whole hog, or 10 shoulders to get that perfect one. This one comes with the same stuff as the half-gallon. It's $120, plus you pay shipping on top of that. Then you have the newest one, the Chaps Full Power Injector System. It's electric. It's the commercial and competition Big Daddy. There is not a holding tank this time, but a 3.5-foot pickup tube that you can put in any size container, from a few ounces to a 55-gallon drum. It was designed for Chef Rob at the best barbecue restaurant in Kansas City, and he has said time and time again that with the Chaps Full Power Injector System, his briskets are better than ever. It comes with a whole bunch of really cool accoutrements, $325, plus you pay shipping on top of that. A number of the top pit masters in the world are using the Chaps Power Injector Systems every day to make their barbecue better than the rest, because we live in a foodie world, so we want flavor in every bite. This is how you can do it and do it fast. And it's not just for meat. How about alcohol-infused watermelon? You can do that with the Chaps Power Injector System. Every injector is hand-assembled in Kansas City, Missouri, USA. Extra accessories, you want them, they got them. You want to shoot medium ground splices, they got you covered for that. They have 2, 3, and 4-inch 12-gauge needles. Also, they have 2-inch closed-tip needles, perfect for shooting fatty meats to keep from plugging up the needles with fat. They sell replacement stock needle adapters and plug screws. They have a great upgrade. You can make your Chaps injector bulletproof. Metal needle adapters. How about that? Yeah. The Chaps Power Injector Systems give your barbecue some power. The website, barbecuekansascity.com. That's barbecue spelled B-A-R-B-E-Q-U-E. barbecuekansascity.com. All right, we are caught back up. We will wrap up the first hour. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network.
big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Green Mountain Grills, your number one manufacturer of the great pellet cookers. If you're looking for a big cooker to house a lot of food, they got one for you. Medium size, got you covered there too. Tailgate versions, sure, why not? They can also supply pellets to fire those cookers. Don't forget about that really cool pizza insert that fits in the Daniel Boone and the Jim Bowie. I love mine. You can love yours as well if you just visit the website, greenmountaingrills.com. John Dawson weighing in with an email. Show rules. Show rule number 13. No open drink containers on the desk. Yeah.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Well, yeah. Thank you, by the way. John Dawson also saying that over on Simple Radio, which is an app, everything sounds good. Strong stream, no overmodulation. Love that. Yeah, I think we're kind of back at it, if you will. All right, thanks again to David Marks for joining me, the Chief Marketing Officer, CMO. If you are looking to get behind a charity or a company that is providing a great service to people that are in desperation, displacement, need, helping first responders, obviously, natural disasters are triggering this, weather events, fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, God forbid an earthquake. Operation Barbecue Relief will deploy, install wherever they're at, and then feed real live hot barbecue meals. Real meals, by the way, not chips and a ham sandwich. And if that's what you can get and you don't have anything else, I mean, you can take it, right? But if you can support them, go to operationbbqrelief.org and make a one-time donation, or sign up for a recurring donation. Let it hit your PayPal account. Put it on auto-recur on a credit card. A couple $100 a year. Why not? More if you can afford it, of course. But cash and time is what they need the most of. They have great buying power. They are going to be able to buy the most for the money that you're giving them, so support them financially. Know that the organization out there doing what they say they're doing. And, of course, thank you to Andy Staples for the segment before that, SportsIllustrated.com. Andy Staples is the senior writer for college football and putting together SI Eats, so check that out as well. Potentially more popular than the college write-up that he's got going on. I mean, what could be more popular than college football, of course? It's got to be running a quick second. Everybody loves food. Everybody loves college football, except me. But even on the pro level, everybody's tailgating. That's the best part of the Browns game is tailgating, right? Absolutely. All right, we will get ready for the second hour. Stick around. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central networks. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine. How's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono. It's all about the Charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. I'm not sure how we got there. You know, I know some of you are wondering, oh, that was a really long out to the top of the hour. Why did we have to listen to that cool 3 Years Hollow music? Well, because I had to unplug the headphones, go over to the other side of the production desk with 5 more towels and continue to sop up the watery mess that is waiting for me after the show. So every moment I get, I'm unplugging and going over and matting down to pull up the water, keep it away from anything. It could have been easily 100 times better. Just a few more shades over to my right-hand side, it would have dumped all over the Tower of Power. That would have been bad. Really bad. That would have been no show tonight. There will be some post-production for those of you listening via podcast whenever you're getting this and listening to it. You will not hear the large gaps of time.
Hello, everybody. This is
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Host of Wine Library
You know Gary V?
TV, a.k.a. WLTV, the #1 wine show on the internet.
That's right.
And this is BBQ Center.
Yeah. One of the most influential social media mavens cutting IDs for this guy, Gary V. We never minded that ID is like 8-9 years old, but he's also in the second hour introduction. He's the guy that says Charbono. He says, Lavernia, shut your face. That's Gary Vaynerchuk. He's been on the show a number of times. Anyway, so every moment I get, I'm sopping up the wetness, but that thing could have hit the Tower of Power, gone out. So again, as I was just saying, if you're listening via podcast, you're not even going to hear most of this. You'll probably wonder why the show's 13 to 14 minutes less in overall time. But I missed the open because I was rebooting everything, and it was kind of a nightmare, but we're back up and running. There you go. Still to come on this show this evening, Taylor Davis from Smithfield. We're going to be talking about the 2018 grant program and the 2018 Committed Cooks program, what it looks like this year or what will look like next year in 2018 compared to this year. Same thing for the Committed Cooks program. And then at 10:35, the official Barbecue Central show beer expert, Matt Boer, will be joining me. Hit huge the first time out last month, so we got him rebooked. We're going to be going over specifically ale, but if you have beer questions, we will be answering those as they come in, either through email or via the phone line. Here's how you get in contact with me if you'd like to do so.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the bbqcentralshow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
If you've ever wanted to see what that guy looks like, the big voice guy, this guy,
Cleveland,
I'm wondering if you have painted a mental picture in your head. This guy.
All guests on the Barbecue Central Show appear via the Smithfield hotline. Yummy.
In my mind, David Lee, that's the guy's name. It's like David Lee Voiceover Productions. You can easily Google him, and he will actually cut stuff for you. I'm a nobody, and he cuts stuff for me. Like, he's my voice guy. That's funny. The Westwood One guy is my voice guy, by the way. That's how accessible people are through the internet. Thank you, the internet, for hooking me up with David Lee, the voice of Westwood One, professional bull riding, motocross, Clear Channel, blah, blah, blah. That's the Barbecue Central show's voice guy. That's hilarious. If you ever wanted to see, so in my mind, before I saw this video the other day, I thought he was like 6'6", 350 pounds, not fat per se, but probably had this huge beard, long hair, kind of Grizzly Adams in stature. Because that voice,
Cleveland.
Like, who can say that? Who can really say that without an incredible, hellacious amount of production and all sorts of weird stuff going on in a production desk and voice booth. And then I saw him. And from a stature standpoint, him and I look a lot alike. I mean, he's got way more hair, but who doesn't? But from a physical stature point, tall, lean, and to hear the voice come out of it, I mean, as soon as he talks, it's him. I mean, they introduce him as David Lee, the Westwood One guy, because some schmuck has pulled him at a Green Bay Packers football game. And he's just bending his ear. And like, if that were me, I'd be like, oh, shut up, local hack. Leave me alone. I'm trying to take in my Packers game. And he's like, oh, is everybody 95.9, welcome to the NFL football, blah, blah. And then he says it, and you're like, holy F, that's really the guy. How does he look like that and is able to voice like that? It's incredible. That's why 5 voiceover people in the country have 95% of the work, because they have voices like that. Most human beings don't have this voice.
Cleveland.
They don't have that voice. I can't do that. Cleveland. It's not nearly as cool.
Cleveland.
It's not even the same. All right, I talked to you about it last week. I do want to mention it again since they do sponsor the show. And it is going on right now, by the way. The backyard barbecue contest that Green Mountain Grills is putting on. Go to greenmountaingrills.com/grill-off. And it's the first annual Green Mountain Grills Barbecue Grill-Off. Participants will compete in 4 categories: ribs, pork, poultry, and beef. Grand champion and reserve grand champions get cookers. And right now, we are in the middle of ribs category. That goes from October 9th, so that was last Monday, through October 29th. That's next week. So if you want to do ribs, get a picture of that. You're off and running. Here's what you have to do. Use the hashtag GMGBBQGrillOff. Then you have to also hashtag the category. For instance, right now it would be hashtag GMGRibs. Then you have to tag Green Mountain Grills account in the post. Facebook and Instagram is at Green Mountain Grills. The Twitter is GMG Grills. Is GM Grills. GM Grills. That's the Twitter handle. And then a brief description of the dish. Brief. Again, first prize gets the Daniel Boone model with Wi-Fi smart controller, and the reserve gets the Davy Crockett, which is more of the travel size, but you can get like a couple butts on there. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Then a whole bunch of other really cool prizes for the category winners. Judges will choose their top 15 entries for each category based on appearance and execution. So, again, ribs are going on right now until the 29th. Pork takes place October 30th through November 19th. Poultry, November 20th through December 10th. And beef, December 10th through the end of the year. greenmountaingrills.com/grill-off. If you want to take part in it, that would be great. And if you've always wanted to do a contest, but you don't want to go anywhere, the turn-in windows are pretty lengthy in this one, folks. Got an email from Stephen Tornblum. Hey, Greg, just took your advice and read many reviews prior to buying my Green Mountain Grill pellet smoker earlier this year. I waited a year before finally taking the plunge and ordering the full line of rubs from Big Papa Smokers and Simply Marvelous. Sterling had a sale over Labor Day weekend to buy both lines of rubs for $135. Below are some of the photos of the rubs and the tri-tip. I split to try the Cash Cow rub and the Double Secret rub on either side. The 2 chubs of breakfast sausage have jalapeno bacon rub on the Simply Marvelous cherry rub on the other. All of these rubs were great, and I'm looking forward to trying the rest over the next coming months. Again, I'm enjoying a product from one of the show sponsors. I enjoy listening to your show each and every week. Keep up the great work, Stephen Tornblum. Thank you, Stephen. Here's what I always say. While I would appreciate large financial donations in the sum of hundreds of thousands of dollars, I mean, if you feel the need, get in contact with me. I'll give you the wire info, no problem. You can support me financially. Second to that, if you want to support the show, the easiest way to do so is listen to the people that I read on or that I bump back from commercial break on. Take a look at their website, give them first consideration. These are the people that I partner with, that I believe, that I try their products. So everything that I'm talking about on these commercial reads or that I promote are companies that I know all the owners. I know their products. I've used their products. I believe in them. It's not just a cash grab for me. I feel confident. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the show. So support the show sponsors. That's the easiest thing that you can do to help keep this whole thing going. They like me. I like you. We like everybody. Everybody's a happy barbecue family, like David Marks talked about last segment. So there you go. We're off and running. All right. Taylor Davis coming up out of the break. I want to talk to you about the Pit Barrel Cooker. So here's what we know. Pulling the trigger on a brand new cooker can be nerve-wracking sometimes. Temperature control, fire management, what woods to buy. Who needs the hassle? Might I strongly suggest a Pit Barrel Cooker, of course. Well, what do I like about the Pit Barrel Cooker? Well, let me tell you something. First of all, extremely portable. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Not huge, not 758 pounds, doesn't require you to take a cord of wood anywhere in order to keep it fired up and going during the course of a cook. And you're not skimping on capacity here either. Don't be fooled by its slender shape, much like me. You can fit 8 racks of ribs in here if you're hanging them. If you're not a fan of the hang, or you get scared of the hang, or you're afraid your meat's going to fall off because of the hang, you don't have to do that. It also comes with a standard grill grate that has the flip-up side hinges so you can keep refueling if you want to. There's a number of really cool accessories that the thing has. You just saw a cut-to-size charcoal chimney. They have beer koozies that look like Pit Barrel cookers. They have coffee mugs that look like Pit Barrel cookers. But the thing's so versatile, you can grill steaks on it. You can hang ribs. You can do the low and slow barbecue. But then you can also adjust it to ramp up and do the grilling type foods, chicken wings, chicken pieces, hot dogs, hamburgers, steaks, seafood. You can plank cook on it if you want to. Here's the best part. It's $299. That also includes shipping. It's already put together. You can cook on it literally when you get it. Do a quick burnout, and you are all ready to go. It takes lump charcoal. It takes charcoal briquettes. They prefer briquettes. I've used both, and I've had success with both. It's really one of the most, I would say, underrated cookers, except sites like AmazingRibs.com continue to give it its gold rating. Now for 3 years in a row. Actually, 4 years in a row, I believe. Again, for $299, how can you go wrong? Super cheap, or let's call it cost prudent, and capacity second to none. You visit pitbarrelcooker.com for more information or to order. You can call 502-228-1222 to talk. And yes, they have human beings that will talk to you. There's a good chance Noah Glanville might talk to you, or Amber for that matter. How about that? Owners of the company. All right, as I had mentioned, Amber Davis from Smithfield coming up out of the break. I don't mean Amber Davis, I mean Taylor Davis. So stick around, we'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com. Your number one source for quality wood pellets to fire all of your pellet-driven cookers. We were just talking about Green Mountain Grills a second ago. They work in those. Certainly Green Mountain Grills makes their own pellets as well, but if you want to try cooking pellets, we would encourage you to do that as well. You can buy them in 2 different places, cookinpellets.com, the website. Download the app, by the way, or Amazon.com. Amazon.com, a fledgling website. I think it's going to do okay. All right, joining me now is somebody that will be able to tell us about the upcoming 2018 Smithfield Committed Cooks program, and perhaps more importantly, because it was so popular this season, the 2018 Smithfield Grant Program. We race to the Smithfield hotline and welcome first-timer to the show. Taylor Davis joining me here on the Barbecue Central show. Taylor, how are you?
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Really?
Please check the number and dial it.
All right. It's highly embarrassing. I don't usually misdial the phone number, but that's all right. Go back. And we'll try it this way. Bop, bop, bop. Those numbers and this number. Let's see if this is better.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Really?
Please check the number and dial again or dial directory assistance.
Is there even directory assistance anymore? I don't think there's directory assistance. Am I reading this right? Yeah. I think she gave me the wrong number. Oh, dear. Yeah, she did. Luckily, I see it. I see the error in my way. No problem. No problem. 5, 6. I mean, they're all numbers. Who cares? At least we're not getting told to call directory assistance. What is directory assistance? Taylor. Taylor. Taylor.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Well, I learned that 815 probably isn't going to be a good number to reach you at.
No, I don't think that's going to work.
No.
You need the 816.
Yeah, 816 does seem to be a better working number. Taylor Davis joining us here on the show. Taylor, appreciate you making time. And I guess before we get into a couple of the hot topics, we learned a lot about Emily Detweiler here over the last number of months. You're obviously a part of the team and working hand in hand with Emily. What are you doing with Smithfield, and what's your capacity with the company?
Yeah, so I work with Emily every single day. So I do a lot of the same things that she does. We kind of tackle things a little bit as we can and divide and conquer. But, as I think about my primary roles for the company, I work on all of our barbecue marketing initiatives, across both retail and then also on the consumer and barbecue event side of things. But I also work on our marinated business. So you'll see in your grocery store and your Walmart that you go to and frequent, you'll see lines of product that are marinated tenderloins, marinated loin fillets, roasts, carnitas, things like that in the meat case. And so that's kind of the other 50% of my job is working on that line of business. So, barbecue consumes a lot of our time, but it's something that we love to do and that we're all pretty passionate about. So it's the fun side of my job, I think.
Smithfield really has thrown into the competition barbecue side of things over the last handful of years. Were you familiar at all with this existing subculture? Did you realize it was as far-reaching and as weird as it is?
I was born and raised in Kansas City, so obviously that is the heart of barbecue, and so I was always aware of the competitive barbecue side, growing up, going to the American Royal every year, as it's kind of just been a staple in the Kansas City area forever. But I really didn't understand the breadth and depth of, how many contests there were, how many cookers there were, how many people spend every waking second of their lives, talking about, thinking about, or sharing on social media, whether it's a Facebook Live or just event posts about competitive barbecue. But I've been working on the barbecue space for Smithfield probably since around 2015. So for a few years now, and it's really just been awesome to get to know the teams, the event organizers, just understand kind of the lingo, the ins and outs of everything that goes on day to day, and meet everyone within the space, and be part of the Smithfield team that's become part of the barbecue family. It's been really fun. So I enjoy it a lot.
This seems like a potentially loaded question, and there's no malice or hidden agenda behind it, but obviously Smithfield wouldn't be investing into it the way that they're doing without being able to see some type of a return. Just from your high level vision and your feeling of being around it, do you think that competition barbecue has reached a plateau of sorts, and there needs to be something done in order to keep pressing it in a growth model, or do you still see it as kind of that infant that's still growing and getting ready to run?
I think there's always more you can do, and we try to continue to invest in barbecue and give back to barbecue events and teams, and I think we do that pretty well, and continue to want to grow, kind of our presence in the space, and just continue to push the sport as a whole through some of our barbecue programming. So, we have the Smithfield Grant program that really gives back to event organizers and gives back to barbecue teams. And then the Committed Cooks program as well, which really is focused on teams and focusing on giving back to teams. So I think that between those two initiatives and just everything else that we do day in and day out, I think we can continue to grow the sport. I think there's definitely a lot more that can be done. It's a beast, but I think that I think there's a lot more progress that can be made, and a lot more good that can come out of Smithfield's involvement in the space.
Taylor Davis joining me here on the show from Smithfield. The website smokinwithsmithfield.com if you want to check it out while we're talking. Of course, one of the biggest successes that I think Smithfield rolled out this year was the first year of the 2017 grant program. For those people that aren't aware, that they're probably just getting out from underneath their rock, if we're being honest. Talk to me a little bit about what that program is, what Smithfield was looking to do with these competitions or events that it was partnering with, and what can we look forward to, because it was so popular this year. There were, of course, those people that were offended that they weren't picked, blah, blah, blah. But hey, let's wait. Let's see how it goes. It pans out. Now we're going to be doing it in 2018. Talk to me about how it might differ or expand in the next year.
Yeah, so we saw, just tremendous interest in the Smithfield Grant program in 2017. Mm-hmm. So I think we had about 180 events apply at the end of the day, and we were able to award 35 of those well-deserving events with Smithfield grants. So as we looked to what we wanted to do in 2018, we wanted to be able to improve that and give back to even more of those awesome events that applied. And then also encourage events that weren't aware of it, but found out about it through other events receiving grants, to encourage them to apply. So there's a couple things that we're doing differently in 2018 that I think event organizers and just 501c3 organizers will be very excited about. So first of all, we're upping our number of grants that we're giving out by 30%. So we'll be giving out 50 events grants to 50 events this year, which is great. So we're very excited about that. We'll be giving out grants in a variety of ranges from $1,000 to $4,500, with the goal to deepen the prize pot and, just pay out deeper and really give back to the teams that compete. Another thing that we've added for 2018 is we've added an in-kind donation option. So if you are looking for, just ribs or butts or a combination of both as a product donation for your event, whether it be, for a contest, or, maybe it's just a 501c3 charity event where you're just looking for something, product to support and push your event. We have that option as well, which is great, because we heard from a lot of event organizers last year that, they obviously needed the monetary support as well, but really product would have gone a long way. So we're excited to be able to add that as an option. A couple of other changes that we've made that we think event organizers will be excited to hear about is we've made it easier to participate with a grant without having to worry about losing any source of revenue or income. So we are no longer needing events to hold three spots for teams. So there's no comp spots involved for receiving a grant. We're also accepting applications for first-year events. So, if you're a really strong contest that, you have a lot of support, but it's your first year, go ahead and apply, because we're considering those events this year as well. So those are fun additions and changes for next year's program. In addition, we've also added a pork ancillary category option. So for event organizers that'll go in and apply, they have the option to opt in to add a pork ancillary category. So what that means is that any contest that's willing to add an ancillary for a pork steak or a pork loin, something like that, we will give them $500 for the prize pool for that ancillary contest, and we will also give all of the pork loins for the competitors that compete. So we think it's a win-win for the event organizers to find new ways to plus up their event, and then also, just for everyone involved. So I think that there's a lot of good things to come, and we've extended the application deadline to November 1st. So there's a couple more weeks to apply, but encourage everybody that's interested to go ahead and apply.
Simple as going to smokingwithsmithfield.com, going to the grant program, and then using that application?
Yep, exactly. So it's just smokingwithsmithfield.com/grant. It's a really simple form that you can fill out. There's an option to add attachments as well if you want to send in pictures or Word documents or anything that really shows, the success of your event over the past few years. Any other additional information that you think that we would need to just kind of prove that your event is worthy and strong, feel free to do it. And it should take not very much time. It's a very simple form. So we're looking forward to seeing all the new and different events from across the country apply.
When I would have John Marcus from Barbecue Pitmasters TV show on, the biggest question that I would get from people is, make sure you ask John, what is it going to take for me in my application video for him to mark me as potentially a better person than somebody else? So likewise, and since I have you here, is there something that marks you guys or that you guys are drawn to when it comes to applicants that might be geared towards getting an award versus one that might be getting pushed to the side? Like, what are you guys looking for in an application?
Yeah, as we think about grant applicants and as we go through the process of picking who will be receiving a grant, we look at kind of what we've deemed our qualities of success. So we look at, do they have what the barbecue teams need when they get there? Is there water? Are there trash service? Is there ice? Things like that. Porta potties, security, things that barbecue teams like to have on site and like to have at their fingertips that they don't want to have to worry about when they get there. Is it something that's well organized? Is this an event that, has a long history of success in the community, gives back to the community? Are the event organizers, are they easy to work with? Things like that. That's always a big plus. I think another big plus is just being family friendly. We want to support events that everybody loves to go to and that the families are welcome and available to be on hand and kind of hang out with the teams throughout the weekend. We look at the judging. Does your event have the proper numbers of judges that you need that are available to compete? Is there any issues getting judges in the past? Anything that would be a red flag. And then I think, just everybody knows everybody in the barbecue community and everybody knows that. So everybody talks. So, as we think about that, it's just the events that we hear continual positive feedback about obviously rise to the top, because that means that teams have gone and competed and had great experiences. And, I think that they're worthy of, being considered as a great event. So that's kind of what we look at as we think about narrowing it from, the hundreds of applications to, our 50 that will receive a grant.
The other cool thing that happened this year was the 2017 Committed Cooks program. I believe there were like 500 spots that teams could pay $20 for or whatever just to kind of cover shipping costs. And then they were getting back $100 or so worth of gear and merch and other stuff that was kind of Smithfield branded. What's going to be going on with that? Kind of a lot of the same for next year in 2018, or what's happening with the Committed Cooks program?
Yeah, we're excited for the Committed Cooks program. So it'll be a lot of the same. You can register at smokingwithsmithfield.com. We'll open registration in November. And it'll be the same, simple registration, register your team. You'll get a really cool swag kit that we're going to revamp based on some feedback from you guys of things that would be cool to include. But I think one thing that I'm most excited about is when we talked to some of the Committed Cooks this year in 2017, a lot of them that were committed cooks in 2016 remember the 180 program that we had, where we awarded a Smoking with Smithfield pin and $180 for everybody that received a 180 in pork or ribs throughout the year. And so I think, just listening to everybody and really feeling like they missed that performance-based incentive piece to the program, we're bringing that back in 2018. So for any committed cook that receives a first place in pork or ribs rather than a 180, right? Because we want to be inclusive to IBCA, MBN, some of those other teams that compete that aren't necessarily scoring on the 180 system. So a first place in pork or ribs, they'll receive a first place pin, some T-shirts, and then some awesome Smithfield swag prizes. So we're calling this our Walk-In with Smithfield program. So this is kind of, you're getting your call, you're walking with Smithfield using our products. So I think I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be really cool and will be a really cool way for teams to kind of share their success across the barbecue circuit.
I think it's important too, Taylor, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I mean, certainly $180 is great, but as you had said, not everybody scores on a 180-point system for a perfect score, and you'd mentioned IBCA. Of course, you have Florida Barbecue Association. You have all these other different barbecue sanctioning events and different regions that have their own little clubs and stuff. You want to make sure that you're kind of spreading it all over. So doing something like this, to me, makes total sense from a broad stroke perspective. I'm glad that you're taking that information and turning it into something that makes it more inclusive. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I hope that that'll help encourage more teams to register and want to participate in this performance-based program, because at the end of the year, the teams that end up with the most first-place finishes will receive additional prize and, kind of an end-of-the-year incentives as well on top of everything that they've had throughout the 2018 season.
Anything else from a upcoming 2018 season promotional-wise that you want to get out while you're on tonight?
Yeah, I think I just want to encourage everybody to go to the Smithfield King of the Smoker event page on Facebook, so you can RSVP to the event as well as receive updates for the event. So that's going to be on December 2nd at the Westin Mission Hills in Palm Springs. It's a great event. There's great demonstrations from some of the best pitmasters in the world if you even just want to go and learn and just understand just kind of how everybody does what they do and why they do what they do to be successful. So that event, again, is December 2nd in Palm Springs. So it's a fun event. If you find your way out in California in December, I would encourage everyone to attend.
Taylor, I hate to put you in this position, but being a Kansas City kid, kind of being around that, where's your go-to barbecue restaurant?
Oh, my gosh. Putting me on the spot is right.
Here we go. From Taylor's mouth directly. Where are we going?
Can I have more than one answer?
You can have two answers.
Okay. Oh, that's tough. Okay. I would say my two answers, I got to go with the mainstay. You got to go with Joe's Kansas City.
Of course.
It's just consistently good all the time.
Jeff Staney, legend.
And I think, yep, exactly. I think my number two would also be Slaps Barbecue.
Yes! Joe Pierce! They're so good.
Their menu is great, and I don't know if you guys haven't been there recently. They added an awesome patio, so I would encourage people to go there too. I think those are probably my top two in Kansas City, though.
Joe's KC and Slap, straight from Taylor Davis's mouth. Again, the website, smokingwithsmithfield.com, the grant program ready to go, and the Committed Cooks program has been enhanced for 2018, as well as some other things. So really appreciate the conversation tonight, Taylor. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yep, thank you. And look forward to seeing everybody who's going to be at the Jack in a few weeks, and good luck to everybody as they finish out the 2017 season.
There she is, Taylor Davis.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Look at that.
All guests
I
on
love
the Barbecue
we're
Central
including
show will
everybody
appear
now.
via the Smithfield hotline. Yummy.
Meanwhile, KCBS honks are like, damn it, we're not going to get that $180 like we wanted to. I want that money. Now we're including everybody. That's what I like from a show perspective. You get that feedback. Hey, we don't score on 180. We're going to get left out of that. How can we make it more inclusive? We can do the Walking with Smithfield program. By the way, those marketing people are like genius. Coming up, show me your Smithfield, Walking with Smithfield, winning with Smithfield. My brother's a butt, or whatever Worth used to say during last season when he was hashtagging. It's Taylor Davis. Again, smokingwithsmithfield.com is the website. I'll talk to you now briefly about the Barbecue Guru. Gang, are you looking to turn up the heat on your barbecue skills this fall and winter? If so, you're going to need to get your hands on the most advanced ceramic cooker and high-tech barbecue accessory to hit the market this year. We're talking about the all-new Monolith Barbecue Edition and CyberQ Cloud Controller. Just launched earlier in the year, the world's first temperature-controlled ceramic cooker and grill with a built-in power draft fan. Going to give you the easiest, most successful barbecue experience to date. These must-have new products will make barbecuing easier than ever before and will be your new secret weapon for cooking delicious food each and every time. Ready to buy? Of course. Head on over to bbqguru.com and grab them up while they last. If you have any questions about what to order, please call them. 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Or visit the website again, bbqguru.com. Again, know this. If you're looking into ceramic cookers, if you're going to use some type of a Barbecue Guru pit temperature control device, or if you already have a controller, if you have a DigiQ or a old NanaQ or something along these lines, the fan is built into the cooker. It's got its own port. It's got a controller hanger, if you will, a place you can put your controller real nicely. So you don't need to buy the fan. It comes with the proper size fan already. Just hook your controller to the fan, put your pit probe into the cooking chamber, insert your internal temperature thermometers if you have a controller that can accept those, and you're off and running. If you have a controller, you are set to go already. Now, if you want to get the latest, greatest technology, then get the CyberQ Cloud Controller, of course. Again, the website, bbqguru.com, or the phone number, 800-288-GURU. Matt Boer, Beer Talk, coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we are back. Thanks again to Taylor Davis from Smithfield. Again, the website, smokingwithsmithfield.com. And the grant program for 2018 is taking applications. The date extended now until November 1st. I got to make that adjustment in my read, otherwise I'll look like an ass. Speaking of looking like asses, you could do that if you drank too much. I should know. But if you take it in moderation, and if you really like beer, my next guest had an appearance that went so well, I think about making him a regular guest. And with every good barbecue, there's probably going to be some beer around, but if you're not a beer nerd, or you like beer but haven't dug into the guts yet, maybe it's something you think you're going to be interested in. Let us do the heavy lifting for you. My next guest is the official, he doesn't know it yet, the official Barbecue Central Show beer expert. We head to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Matt Boer. What's up, Chief?
How you doing tonight, buddy?
Absolutely fantastic. Appreciate you making time for the show. The official beer expert of the Barbecue Central Show. How does that strike you?
Well, I'm not that good looking.
No, you're not, but you're this good looking. That's right. Look at you. Sexy.
I brought you a little friend here.
Is that a Philadelphia Eagle?
That sure is. I'll get him out of there because I know it might cause you a little strife there and upsetness, but just had to bring that up a little bit. But hey, like, thankfully for you, you didn't dump beer all over your console because it's nice and sugary and would be a lot stickier than just water.
Well, that would be worse, no doubt about it. Matt Boer joining me here on the show. Matt, I thought tonight, and I'd gotten a special request in from a listener that said, hey, really enjoyed the beer segment the last time around. Was wondering if you could answer a couple different questions as it relates to ales. And
Absolutely.
Of course, I used to love ales. They were one of my favorite beers. And there does seem to be, let us say, a variety or variations of ales. So let's start backing it all the way out, just, I guess, from a high level. Talk to me about ale, what it is in a broad sense, maybe a flavor profile, and then we can start digging down into the guts of, or getting into the weeds, if you will.
Okay, basically you have, for the most part on the common market, you have two styles of beers. You have lagers and ales. And ales are a warm fermented, top fermented beverage. So the yeast actually will normally sit on the top of the fermentation tank as it's fermenting. And it usually does at right around 65 to 70 degrees. Room temperature to a little bit warmer. And that's when you have, you see all the time, Coors Light and all those companies are talking about cold lagering, and they're fermenting on the bottom of the fermentation tank, and that's a different style of yeast, and that's your biggest difference and biggest flavor profile difference between the two beers. So that's where you really have the difference between an ale and a lager. Once you actually separate those two, they go in a million different directions.
Is there so what's the ale taste profile? Is it like a hoppy thing? Or I'm going to start using terms that I'm not going to be able to answer any questions if you ask me. So like, what do they taste like?
Okay. An ale can taste anything from a wine to a super bitter hoppy beer. It really refers to how it's fermented. And then once you go beyond that, you're going to start diving into the different styles. You can replicate most of those styles in the lagers as well. But the majority of the lagers you're going to get are going to be the common beer plays, Budweiser, Anheuser, Coors that you're going to see on the mass market. The majority of craft brewers don't like to deal with the lagers, and they'll actually deal with the ales. And the one funny thing I found when I was researching it, I just wanted to find the most popular ale. And there is not a single ale in the top 20 in the United States market right now.
Really?
There are what they call adjunct lagers, or what they call everything else in the market, but the top 20 beers sold in America are not, one of them is an ale. However, the craft brew department is actually dominated by ales.
So Rolling Rock is Rolling Rock an ale?
I believe Rolling Rock is still going to be a lager. It's going to be a pale lager, though.
Oh. So when it says pale ale on the bottle, it's a lie.
Actually, Rolling Rock might not be in the top 20, so I'd have to go back and look at that one.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. All right, so when I think of ale, I think of pale ale. Then you start thinking of IPA, which I think is India or Indian pale ale, and then it gets really out of control. There's like double pale ale, triple pale ale. I don't even know what the hell that means. So as we start to wade into the weeds, the craft beer industry, as you said, is dominated by ales. So talk to me about like some of the popular ones where the flavors are, what the alcohol content's like, and then we'll get into those weird doubles and triples and so forth, and what makes them like that.
Okay, a pale ale, you're going to have a higher hop content than you would in just a regular pub ale. If you were to go to England, the majority of the beers you're going to see there are going to be lagers or just a pub ale. A pub ale is going to be 4 to 5%, not super hoppy, really clean, and nice tasting. The second you bring up pale ale, you're adding a little bit more hop to it. Hop is best characterized by, for people that never drank beer, if you drank wine and you drink a champagne, you have that little bit of bitterness, dryness in your mouth.
Yep.
That's the hop characteristic. It's not saying that it's bitter like a lemon. It's saying that you go, wait, why is my mouth a little dry when I've been drinking a liquid?
Right.
And then, so when you go from pale ales are great. Sierra Nevada is a mass marketed animal that goes across the entire country and everyone seems to love it.
Yep.
It's a pale ale. It's a very neutral pale ale. Then you dive into their other beers. But to answer your question about the IPAs were born when the English colonized India, and they had to find a way to bring beer to India. And what they had to do was increase the alcohol content, keep it sterile on the way. They increased the hop content as well. That gave it a hoppier taste. And as it traveled, it actually aged very well on its way, and that hop would go away during the traveling. So the recipes that we're drinking now are hoppier than what they would have got in India back in the 1860s or, whenever they were actually transporting this beer there, and IPA became a style. We've kind of changed the style a little bit and made it more marketable, but also made it more beer snobbery-ish, where we doubled the hop content, if not tripled it in some of it, for the flavor profiles.
So a true India pale ale recipe is not going to have that hoppy over-the-topness that you're getting now. Are there IPAs out there that match up with the traditional flavors of the days of yesteryear?
Yeah, you're probably going to have to get something straight from England, but the bigger problem is it's not going to be cask aged, because what happened was when they cast it and then sent it to India, on the way, the flavor profile mellowed.
Because it's soaking into the wood.
And just aging in general. Yeah, absolutely. Just like a wine, when you age it, it changes.
When we talk about double hop and triple hop, or all that stuff, what does that mean, and what is that giving you from a flavor profile perspective, and is it also then increasing an ABV?
Yes, ABV is what determines a double. A double, it was when you get above, typically it's up to the brewers. It's not a market tested. It's up to the brewers. Once you get above an 8, they normally start calling it a double. And I actually put my local brewer on the point. I said, listen, what becomes a triple? He says, it's up to us. He's like, we get to pick a triple. My triples are 10 and above. So, but you got to realize you're looking at almost double the alcohol content of a standard beer in a triple. You start getting to points where, you're going to fall down quick.
And do they taste good? Or will it dominate your palate where, the thing that me, when I'm drinking beer, I'm as macro brew as it gets. I don't get into the micro or the nano or anything like that, because a lot of it is like super heavy. And if you have more than 2, I get palate fatigue. I'm like, oh my God, like my whole face is tired. It was like I had dinner and I was drinking beer and there's oatmeal in it or stout or blah, blah, blah. And, everybody's palate's different, right? But so long way to get back to the question I was trying to ask you. Does it weigh heavy on your mouth? Can it fatigue you?
If it's done properly and done with the right amount of budget behind it, no. The biggest thing you're doing is raising the natural sugars, which is the malts and barleys, for the actual yeast and everything to eat to create more alcohol. And what happens is when you do it cheaply, you get an alcohol taste, and you get a very strong sweet beer, which is no longer tastes nothing like an ale. And you're going, why are they calling this an ale? Well, it's because they increased all this without increasing the most expensive ingredient, the hop. When you increase everything rationally in the same ratio, you get a well-balanced beer. Where I've had to sit at the brewery with a friend, and he was running the trivia, and he was on his second snifter of a triple, and I had to pull him aside and say, hey, listen, I know how long you got to drive home tonight. You really need to slow down, buddy. And he's like, why? I go, that's a 10, it was like almost 10.6%.
Oh.
He's like, no way, it's too smooth.
IPAs traditionally have a grapefruit profile, or not necessarily?
That's an American pale ale style. That's where you're getting the Citra hop. And people are very confused by that hop. Citra, I think it's Cascade, Mosaic. The typical ones you'll taste in the Americans have a Citra note to them, and people think they're adding grapefruit. They're zesting it with, lemon. No, that's actually the characteristic of the hop flower that it's producing. It's a really interesting thing. An IPA, we drink, I would probably say 75% of the America IPAs that you see should be recharacterized as an APA, an American Pale Ale, because it's using a hop that's only found in America, that has a citrus note to it, and is not something you would find in England where you would produce an IPA traditionally.
Is the brand Boulevard taking over the joint right now? Is that a super popular beer, or is it just because I'm seeing it up here in bars in Cleveland?
That's because you're seeing it up there. What you're noticing now is the regionalization of craft beers, where they're becoming kind of like Rolling Rock is something. If you went out west 10, 15 years ago, people would look at you like your head blew off because they never heard of it. Also, the same thing, like you couldn't get Coors in Florida for the longest time back in the 70s. What you're having is large brewers are starting to dominate the area by purchasing smaller craft breweries and exploding them out into the regions. But they're using the name of that brewery. One big one in Atlanta area just went under. Wicked Weed was bought out by a large conglomerate. So you're having all these places that are just blowing up in the region. Like down in the southeast, Funky Buddha dominates the Florida region.
Funky Buddha?
Yes.
Never heard of it. Sounds great. Two questions from Jason King up in Canada. One, are big beer companies using syrup to make beer now, like fountain pop machines?
They're not.
That you know of?
If you walked in there, it would look exactly like syrup. But it is a liquefied barley malt mash that they're using. They're not. Some of them are not going through the trouble, and that's on their cheaper beers, not their higher end beers. They're going through it, and they're using kind of like some fast food places might have used a pink mush for meat.
Pink slime.
Yep.
Meat filler. The other question that he had was, is it legal to brew your own beer here in the States? I think the liquor thing is a little different, but home brew is huge here, continues to grow, right?
Home brewing for I can answer for Florida is definitely allowable, and there is a certain number you get up to where you're no longer classified as home brewer. And across the states as a whole, it is becoming acceptable to the point where most markets, you can buy that Mr. Beer kit and brew your own beer in your house, and it's sold at Walmart. So, yeah, there's maybe Utah might be hanging on to the law. I'm not even sure about that, but I think for the most markets, you can absolutely brew the beer in your house, and you can find a good local home brewing store, or go online and buy a I think it's $50 for the kit. And then they'll sell you all the jump starters and everything to go ahead and brew your first set of beers.
Going back to the ales real quick, is there a food pairing that, I mean, obviously, whatever tastes good to you, tastes good to you. I get it. We understand that. Trust your palate, blah, blah, blah. But is there a food or a genre of food that pairs exceptionally well with ale styles?
Sure. Let me hit real quick. I have 3 different examples, and they're different bottles, too. And we can cover that real quick about completely different kind. Well, 2 are similar, but totally different ales. The first one is from Sierra Nevada, and this right here is their hop Hunter Ipa. It is hopped with the oil. Some people consider it cheating because it's not really using the hops, because you're really intensifying the hop. But this one right here will pair very well with anything that needs to be cut, like a barbecue. Where you have a lot of fat that you want to cut through, a lot of sugar you want to cut through, a lot of sauce. That'll definitely cut through because it's a 60 IBU, which is pretty high on the bitterness. And when I say the bitterness, once again, it's a dry mouth. It's not the lemon flavor or something like that. It's the dry mouth flavor. So as you're eating a sweet, barbecue-y, fatty piece of meat, it'll cut right through that. Right now, this is the only time you get to see this beer in America is the October, early November. This is from one of my local breweries here. It's a wet hop. This is their normal pale ale that they use actually fresh hops for. This is the pure version of what I just showed you, because the oils that are in this actually come from right out of the bud of the hop plant, and that has a significantly stronger bitterness to it, and that really cuts barbecue. Like if I was doing a brisket and I wasn't separating the point and the flat, and I was going to leave all that fat in there, you serve that with that, it'll cut through it on every bite. But to answer your other question about why I say ales are such a weird thing, this one right here is I'm bottle aging this, and this is stone fruit from my local brewery too. But this is a Belgian Farmhouse Ale. This is very similar to Abbey Ales and Trappist Ales. That is almost a wine. That has a very high fruit note to it, a very light body, effervescent, and that would be really good with chicken, fish. Not that I'm going to be serving it, but a cheese platter. You can definitely pair those two together. And if you notice, that last one was a taller bottle, which they call a Magnum, and it was bottle capped. And that's to make sure that none of that carburation were to escape. Some breweries will use a cork, which is great, and they'll actually wrap it to make sure the cork never pops. The only thing with that is how much of that is actually just selling you the bottle. Because right now, if you know, in America, there are some wines that are dominating the market that are being sold out of boxes. And they're going away from the cork because the cork is not a sustainable product to be bottling all the time like this.
He is the official beer expert of the Barbecue Central show. And if you had any questions about ale, I think we just pretty much answered them all right there. If you missed the segment, go back and get it on the podcast. And you will see our friend Matt Boer, beer expert, here regularly on the show. Matt, always appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Greg, I did have one thing exciting for you.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe here at the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, and we throw it down to Florida for Matt Boer.
I did reach out to one of your sponsors, Butcher Barbecue.
Yes.
And he sent me some rub to do a take on a Michelada, which is a rimmed glass beer that I want to bring to you guys next month or whenever we get back together, and show you how you use some of your favorite rubs to make your beer a little bit more exciting at your next party.
You can show us that right on camera, right?
Absolutely.
All right. We'll look forward to that. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you.
Michelada. That's very exciting. I've seen those, by the way.
All
I don't know
guests
if I
on the
would be
Barbecue
too
Central
interested.
show appear via the Smithfield Hotline. Yummy.
Dave Bosca, always thinking of ways to keep himself relevant in the barbecue and grilling and beer market now, I guess. All right. Let me quickly tell you about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies will get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything that they sell has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. Big Papa Smokers is the proud owner of award-winning Granny's barbecue sauce. Looking for a new go-to barbecue sauce that will please everyone? Granny's traditional yet powerful flavors that remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. Are you looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa Smokers is the exclusive Mac dealer and even offers special packages. If you're not a fan of pellet cookers, try the Old Hickory Ace BP. It's the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition barbecue trailer. If you're a backyard hack like me, look for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever called the M Grill. It's from Texas. It's just what you need. They're built like tanks. If you're not sure what grill you need, you really can't go wrong with any of the grills over at BigPapaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cooking budget. Check out their website today to shop their full selection. It's clear that Big Papa Smokers is the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on their website has been hand-selected to help your barbecue become better. Boost your barbecue skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers, the number one online barbecue score. Call them toll-free at 877-828-0727 or shop their website at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com, BigPapaSmokers.com. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Cook Shack, manufacturers of smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of barbecue experience. Whether you're looking at their pellet cookers or their residential electric smokers, you visit cookshack.com or call 800-423-0698 and get hooked up with Cook Shack. They even have a world-class barbecue forum still, believe it or not. All right, let's wrap it up all the way back in the first hour. I can't believe how we even got started this show. But we had the senior sports writer for college football from Sports Illustrated, Andy Staples, who also writes SI Eats, one of their more favorite and popular websites, by the way, or portals at Sports Illustrated, as he had mentioned. Great getting to know him for the first time. Then we talked with David Marks from Operation Barbecue Relief, getting up to speed on where they're at right now as they are battling the wildfires in California, feeding first responders and people displaced. If you want to help them out, OperationBBQRelief.org. Make a cash donation. Set it up recurring, why don't you? It's great. And then in the second hour, we talked with Taylor Davis from Smithfield, SmokingWithSmithfield.com 2018 grant program, taking applications till November 1st. 2018 Committed Cooks program will be happening really shortly as well. A lot of cool things and a lot of cool changes going on both events. And then we closed it out with Matt Boer, the official Barbecue Central Show beer expert. Talked all about ales. It was fun. Go back and listen to it again. A lot of great information. The show is jam-packed next week. We will be off on Halloween. Programming note right up front, we will be off Halloween. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.